auspicious moment. Mangala Charan literally means invoking auspiciousness, invoking for anything that should begin and complete. So we are on a journey of the self-discovery. So Mangala Charan means we have started the journey and it should complete. That is also known as Mangala Charan. But at the same time, the Eastern wisdom says whether I am aware, whether I realize the real self, or whether I am in ignorance, the real self continues to be present. The truth is always present. You cannot you ignore it and still it is there. You don't know it, it is still there. You know it, it is still there. So see the importance of the Mangala Charan, the word in itself, that my behavior, my thought, my speech, my action remain focused on finding who am I. That is another way to put the Mangala Charan. So the masters, our masters have used this word in a different way. Look at the God is there with you. God will take care of you. Why you are worried? This doesn't apply to Ukraine and Russian war. So we are talking of the self-discovery. We are not talking of the social justice and other things. That needs to be very clear. So God is there. When you do this practice, you will get this power, and ultimately the power will help you to dissolve the suffering. Master says, leave all this. So this master says, I am the real self, and that real self is the God. That real self is the supreme consciousness. You simply remember this. When to remember all the time, in your thought, in your speech, in your action, in your behavior, in your personal life. So you keep that sense of remembering. But to understand that, he has explained in 11 topics, and we have picked up the one topic. The first one topic, that how you say that real self is the supreme self, and what exactly is the way to find that real self, which is also the supreme self, which is also the God, which is also the absolute. That is why we use the word Satchidanand. Do you see that? Indirect meaning. We use the Satchidanand for God also. Nobody notices it. Those who are non-seekers, they never notice. We say Satchidanand. So what is the real self? That is also Satchidanand. Shankaracharya has done it indirectly. Mano buddhir ahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jivhai. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the sense organ, I am not the I, then who are you? Chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. He says this. We don't become aware of that. We sing it. We put the music into it, but we still remain ignorant. That come on, what the Shankara is saying. What I'm singing that I'm the real self, I'm the supreme consciousness. Everywhere in the entire literature, all the teachings of the great masters, they say, I am that. So to make my mind understand I am that, this master says you start from here. That I'm that. You wake up in the morning, remember. Yeah, in the afternoon, remember. Evening, remember. First, remember, and then through the Shravanam, through the contemplation and reflection, we will realize but we will realize the real self which is already there inside, which is already present. I am conscious. No, but what is the proof of it? I'm conscious of you. I'm conscious of teaching. I'm conscious of honey. I'm conscious of my problems. Why I'm conscious means I know. I know what problem I have. I know I am a man. I know I am a woman. What it means, I know I am conscious. It means I'm consciousness. That is the greatest proof. You cannot know anything if you are not conscious. Master is saying, this is what I'm saying. Is it not easy to understand? But if you ignore it, then you continue to live in ignorance. If you say I'm husband, I'm wife, I'm businessman, then obviously you have to undergo the victory and defeat, pain and the pleasure. Yeah, if I am the body, I have to undergo birth and death. So this Mangala Charan, auspiciousness. So the moment I remember I am the real self, it simply means I'm not the body, mind, intellect, and ego and the thought. So obviously, if I'm the real self and the real self is Satchidanand, it is absolute existence, consciousness, and bliss, then obviously I'm in the moment of auspiciousness. So we start with that understanding. The real self is already there, it is already present. I have to discover what is already within me. I have not to collect and gather and make an effort and get anything from outside. So, therefore, we need a self inquiry. We don't need a practice. We need a self inquiry. Let us find out where you have kept the key of your car. I'm 100% sure it is in my house, so let me search it. So, one thing is sure that the key is in my house. But key is an objective reality, so that's why I have to make an effort. But here I'm talking of the subject, it is already within me. When? Here and now. Where? Here. When? All the time. What location? Or in all the location. This Ukrainian girl who is also attending the Saturday session, I'm not, I can't prevent to tell you that how she shared her experiences. These are the revelations that takes place. So what, while sharing the experiences, she said that as you were talking and giving us the practice and talking to us, I felt as if I am the sugar in a cup of tea. I said, then, and then my mind was absorbed. I said, wait, let me explain to you. So, where is that sugar in every drop of a tree? That is the meaning of all pervading. So, that is how the revelation takes place. I said, this is wonderful. I never thought of it. You gave me a thought to explain to others. So the real self is always there. Now, how much a revelation takes place depends on that you are a seeker or not. So it's all about self inquiry. Why self inquiry? Because our self knowledge, to get the self knowledge. Why self knowledge? Because I'm ignorant of the real self. And that is why the 530 or 540 something topics, so the ignorance is rejected as real self. Knowledge is realized. Self inquiry is done. by Shravanam, Mananam. And here the Nididhyasana I used to talk about it is a practice. No, it is not a practice. It's a constant remembering, living in that awareness. Initially, for a primary level of a seeker, we say, oh, it is you close your eyes and practice. Even though you close your eyes, it is all about remembering. Remembering that every drop of a tea contains that sweetness of a sugar. Whether I close my eyes, whether I keep my eyes open, whether I'm living my personal life or a family life, whether I'm a husband or a wife, at every moment. So I see it is present in a thought but not a thought. It is present at 9 a.m. but it is not 9 a.m. No, that proves the sweetness is present in every drop of water, every drop of a tea. You drink a half cup and you throw it, the sweetness still remains. So it means it is present in my anger, it is present in my anxiety, it is present in my stress, it is present in my pleasure. So should I remove the pleasure from my life? No. Let me continue to enjoy. Only thing that I know this pleasure is a manifestation of that real self. The pleasure, taking a sip of a tea, is because of the sweetness of a sugar, nothing else. Whether it is prepared by your honey or my honey or a restaurant, or whether I pay $20 for a cup of tea or whether I pay $1 for a cup. So this master, a unique way that I am the God, I am the supreme consciousness. Can you declare? So he says, first declare, and then we will make you realize that you are right. So when you are right, you are already into that state. Awakening is there. Realization is there. This is what J. Krishnamurti spoke about it in a different way. He talks about the choiceless awareness. Another guy, what he said, I forgot, it will, if I remember, then I'll talk about it. So we'll come back from the Mangalacharan, a specific Mangalacharan, to the self-inquiry. So here, every master talks in a different way. Let me talk directly. That this master is pointing that when I say you are the real self, you are the supreme consciousness, you are receiving this knowledge from a teacher. This is indirect knowledge. Unless you declare that I am the real self, then it becomes a direct knowledge. So that is the only distance between the two. That is the distance between the ignorance and the wisdom. Look at it. Yes, it is clear. Yes, I can understand that. So the master makes it clear. I think you have already read that I am that Nisarg Dutt Maharaj. Right? He has a convenience store selling the smoke and cigarettes. So what happened to his mind? That is worth noticing. He went to listen this talk. His friend invited him. No, I have my guru, so why don't you come with me and listen to him? And that master said that you are the real self. So how much should I pay? No, you need not to pay anything. You declare that you are the real self. So while returning after listening to the talk, his mind said, there is no doubt not to believe that I am the real self, because he did not expect anything. So why shouldn't I keep my mind on that I'm the real self? Now see, the indirect knowledge started converting into a direct knowledge. He did not do any practice. He awakened, he got enlightenment, and he continued to do what he was doing before. He continued until the death, he continued selling the cigarettes. It's an objective reality. We use the morality. Oh, you should do this, you should not drink, and you should do the yama and the niyama. For the highest level of a seeker, no social rule applies. Why no social rule applies? They are already living into that state. They will never do which opposes, which causes the violence, which causes the hesitation. They will never do it. Do you see the movement? The principle is realized by indirect to the direct knowledge. He said that there is no, why should I not believe him that I am the real self? And he started the journey with that. And then he did not study any text. So we will answer that why it happens to him because of the past impression, because of the prarabdha, that we will go. So indirect knowledge and the direct knowledge. We should be very clear. But how we become clear? By contemplation. My teacher said that I am the real self. He is teaching from the knowledge passed on by another teacher. The same teacher says everything. But what is the difference? I have to sit down and contemplate that you told me that I am the real self. Let me check, I am the real self. So many doubt, interpretational doubt, conviction, problem of conviction comes, and those convictions have taken the form of a question, and these questions are resolved by the master. That is why we have 538 topics. You see. So, I said that you are the real self, okay. Then the moment I say I'm the real self, but I don't see it, that is another doubt. I need a conviction. Why there is no conviction? Because there are some doubt. What is that doubt? Ask me. I feel that I am the body. So okay, we will resolve this question. So that is how the 538 and 540 topics have been explained, that he picked up every possible topic. There is no other topic that is not covered in this teaching of this master. So as we continue with the contemplation and reflection, we realize while simply listening, learning, resolving the doubt in the mind. I see the dome-like structure of the sky plus a blueness. It is an optic illusion. But take another example. As we approach to the mirage water, I see the water in the mirage. As I approach it, I need not to fight with the mirage water. It's gone. It's gone. It's not there. It does not exist. So the master's uses, as you move the mind within, there is nothing to go within. As you move from ignorance to the knowledge, the false disappears. The false continues to look. If you go far from the mirage water, again you see it. So as I approach near to the real self, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not the husband, I am not the wife. Come on, gone. But as I go out again without remembering that I am the real self, I become the body, I become the mind. That is the problem. So the master says you only need knowledge, you don't need practice. Practice will not help you. So one group of the masters, they teach the higher level of a seeker. They say no practice will help you. Forget about it. No kundalini will lead you to awakening and realization. No visualization of colors and the forms. It is not going to help you. What should I do? Mangala Sharan. What is Mangala Sharan? I am the real self. So So it does not mean that you don't do namaste. Do namaste, but remember that I am the real self. I am the real self at the outer level. I am doing namaste to everyone who comes in front of me. Finished. So that is what Mangalacharya. Now, what is the difference? Now, understand that he did it because if he has to explain each and every aspect, then instead of 530 topics, we will have maybe 100,000 topics. So, what he did not explain, that is what the teacher tells you. I told you many times that I studied all the Upanishads intellectually, and every time my master used to teach, I used to interrupt. I know it. This is what it is you are talking about. He tolerated me for 2 years. And one day he patted on my shoulder. He said, "My son, Guru teaches you what is not written in the text." I looked at him. I said, "Why you tolerated me for 2 years?" I said that. Well, he said that is the way of the traditional teachers. I realized that now you are going to be a seeker, so it's better to tell you now to make you aware. And I said that is the last day I interrupted you. I never interrupted for another 24 or 23 years. I simply heard him. So what is the another explanation? The very beautiful knowledge hidden in it. When I say that I am the God, I am the supreme consciousness, and that is Mangalacharan, this master is talking about the subjective reality. He has left all the objective reality. If I know the God outside me, it is objective reality. If I know the temple outside, it is objective reality. If the teacher is outside, it is objective reality. And if the God is inside me, the teacher is also inside. Oh, who is that Guru? That Guru is knowledge. Knowledge minus body, mind, intellect, thought. So who is that? That is consciousness. So what is the masses? Masses is very clear here. The masses is that subjective type of Mangalacharan, means that this master is saying, don't look what the mind knows. What is known by the mind, you are not. That is how you can find the real self. And that is what I am saying, that I am the real self. You are the real self. You are the God. You are the supreme consciousness. You are love. Don't love anyone. You are the love, and then you express that love. You need to simply reveal that love, everyone would love you. The moment you say, I love you, it is attachment. You have already separated yourself from the others. How can you love? Well, if the existence does not contain the love, can you love? Love is existence.
But we are looking for real self.
Yeah.
Real self is the most attractive for us.
Real self is the love. So then the ego takes over the real self, superimposes, and then it claims, come on, I love you so much. If the love is not there, the peace is not there, if the calmness is not there as an integral part or integral traits or attributes or characteristics of the real self, how can I love? If the sweetness is not present in a sugar, you put any amount of sugar, nothing is going to be sweet. And we claim, I made the tea sweet. That is the problem. Come on, how can you make the sugar? How can you make the tea sweet? You have put the sugar. You see, we differentiate. Who differentiate? Mind. What is that mind? I. What is that I? I always divides and pursues. So here the master says, follow the binary format. There are only two things. Again, I'm coming back to binary format, subjective reality and objective, matter and consciousness. Idam and aham. Finished. No need to worry about it. Start with highest level of a seeker starts the self-inquiry that one is the matter all outside this. So our masters represents the entire matter as this. Who knows this is that. So the greatest mantra is Tattvamasi. What is the meaning of Tattvamasi? I am that. I am not this.
And Soham.
Soham, I'm that. Same thing. That is a big statement, and Soham is that. Soham, so. Sa means that. Aham. Sa plus aham. I am that. So there is another great statement. Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi. I am that. I am that. And after that, the mind goes into the silence because it is already realized. No need to say. But what is this? So this master says, follow the binary format. Start with the journey with the binary format. This and that. This. Whenever you categorize anything into this, that is matter. That is inert. That cannot know yourself. That cannot know itself. That cannot know anything. And who is that? That is conscious entity. Without conscious entity, I cannot know anything because I am a conscious entity, hence I am a consciousness. Because the body is not consciousness, body is this, mind is this, I is this, the thought is this, sense organs are this. They all are matter, inert, unconscious. First step of realization has to be there. I'm raising a doubt for you to keep in the mind, but I will answer later because that to answer that we will not be able to follow the journey. So you said that this and that, okay, but you also say that there is only one reality that is all pervading. There is only one consciousness. There is nothing else in the entire world. Yes, I said this. Then why you said two division, this and that? We will resolve this conflict later. Not now. You see that masters have gone such a deeper. You cannot say clay pot is different from the clay. The clay is appearing as a clay pot. That is the answer. The sun and the sand is appearing as a mirage water. They are not two. You start with the two first, and then you realize that everything is just a manifestation. You are manifestation of the same consciousness. I am the manifestation of the same consciousness. We appear as two waves, but in the wave there is only one water. That's in simple language the answer, but that we will realize much later. No, you have already told me. So I'm just speaking on behalf of this teacher, this guru, this great teacher. So he as if he's asking the question, or as if I'm asking the question and sitting in front of. You have already told me why I do not know who I am.
You always say on this question, who is asking?
That is one way to say, and the other way, the master is also a problem. That I want to know, is there any some problem with my mind? mind is not capable to know who I am. So the master says you are approaching near. For any type of knowledge, instrument of knowledge has to be right and perfect. So that's how the journey starts. That's how the master says this is the way the journey starts. So now what happens? I move to what I claim as a subjective reality. What I claim as a subjective reality, the mind. Oh, so let me understand the mind. Whether it's a mind or intellect or memory or I thought. Oh, then the master, if I think in along his line, you know millions of things in the past. You are worried about millions to things coming in the future. You know millions of things in the world outside. Still greater than that is to know yourself. Because everything you are aware is this, and everything you don't know is that. So you have to come down to that. So who has to know it? I have only the mind. So is the mind an imperfect instrument at this time to know the real self? Answer is no. Why no? Because you have yet to understand what is real self. What are the characteristics of the real self? The mind until date knows what is limited in time, space, and through the cause. The mind has already only seen the cause and effect. So he says, my son, there is something that is beyond cause and effect. Now, how to know that? How you were born by my parents. So, who gave birth to your parents, their parents, and their parents, and their parents, and how long you will continue to go? Would you stop somewhere to find out is there anything beyond the cause and effect? Yes, that is a right question. Or do you know that either there is an ultimate cause or there is something beyond the cause and effect? Where is the where is beyond cause and effect of the wave? Water. So the master doesn't go there. Master says, understand that this real self is permanent happiness. You get a fraction of that happiness which you call pleasure. So if you understand that there is pleasure in the life, so there must be an ultimate pleasure, and that is permanent happiness. And that is what the real self is. So we are searching that. To go to a restaurant and pay $50 for your lunch, you have made such a big effort. You have to buy a car, you made such a big effort. How much effort you are ready to put up to find the real self, as compared to a fraction of pleasure and permanent happiness. Are you ready? Then you are a seeker. So he is pointing that. Don't think that, okay, tell me, I will realize. No, it will not happen. So, first thing he says, it is permanent happiness, it is eternal. Then he gives some idea that it is self evident, it is all pervading. And then here he picks up the teachings of the Upanishad. He says that all the name and the form manifest because of the real self. All the name and the form. whatever we see in the world of name, in the form, living species, inert matter, they count 8.4 million species. That also includes the matter, mountain, river, etc. etc.
So in this case, existence and real self is the same.
But then he gives us a bite. He says it is the witness of the intellect also. It is the witness of the mind. It is the witness of this. That is why it is that. It is the knower. But the intellect knows everything. How to resolve this problem? Look at the beauty and the way this master goes. So he picks up the 3 points from the different Upanishads and then he resolves that issue. What are the 3 points? The first point he says that a seeker does not know, cannot know the real self directly, it can know the real self indirectly. Knowledge takes place in my mind that this is not mirage water is false. And I'm 100% sure. I know clay pot is nothing but the clay. Knowledge takes place in the mind. I need not to break the clay pot to know that it is all clay. So no action is required. So another Upanishad says that the words cannot know the real self directly, so the mind or the words or the thought can know the real self indirectly. Oh, there is a water. No, it's not a water, it's a mirage water. So I express the thought and I know that it is because of the sand and sunlight. While looking at the false, I know what is truth. Looking at you, I know that I am the real self and you are also the real self. But for that journey, we have to we have to resolve so many doubts. Are you getting it? So that is the first thing. That is the first uh, question that comes to our mind indirectly and indirectly. Second question comes unqualified mind cannot know the real self. So the qualified mind know the real self? Yes, qualified mind can know the real self. Who says this? Upanishad. What is the Upanishad? Revelations of all the great masters. So it means from the Mangala Charans, this and that, now we are coming to the mind. We want to make this mind as a perfect instrument to know the real self. So I have to go very deep into the very nature and the functioning of the mind. I'm talking to you. I'm conscious of talking to you. At the same time, I know the mind is a matter. How to resolve that issue? No, but mind borrows the consciousness. Oh, it is a reflected consciousness. So, what happens between the ignorance and knowledge in the mind? If I understand that, I can know the real self. Every master has spoken, but this master is unique. So first thing, the seeker, the word or the thought or the mind cannot know the real self directly, so it can know the real self indirectly. Second problem we have to resolve: unqualified mind cannot know the real self, so the qualified mind can know the real self, and that is qualified mind means that I am a seeker. See, it is happening in the mind. Nothing changes outside. Whether you grow long beard or you don't grow beard, remain like a Buddha doesn't make any difference. Normally, people start thinking that if I grow my beard and then they create unnecessary problem. If you grow long beard, then you have such a positive energy in the beard. Unnecessary, unwanted. So I enter into another kind of a falsehood. So I have more energy. More energy is this. I am that. Look at it. Look at it. So this master rejects all the rites and rituals and dogma and belief. He says you have to outrightly reject. Live continuously in a binary format. Don't create another format. So this, that, and energy. Now the energy is going to influence your real self. So you are falling into ignorance. And in order to remove that ignorance, you start breathing. So where you feel the energy in the brain and the body. But you are not the body. Why don't you start with that? So that is why we say that Hatha Yoga takes you 30 years to reach to that state if you are doing the practice almost 5 to 6 hours every day. Raj Yoga takes maybe 5 to 10 years. Gyan Yoga takes hardly few weeks and months and a year, depending on our level of seeking. The third point he makes, the qualified, then what happens? Okay, let me believe it, that the qualified mind can know the real self. So the Upanishad says the qualified mind illumines the real self. They use the word illumines. Illumines minds means knowing. Knowing is different from I know you. It has something on the past. But I am knowing you. Real self lives in the present. So that is why they use the word knowing, illumines the real self. No, but you have created a big problem. For me, a seeker asked the question, you already told me and I have become a seeker, and you say that mind is matter. And at the same time, you say the mind illumines the real self. It is the consciousness that illumines the mind. You see the doubt. So it is also. So we are going deeper and deeper. But the problem is how the mind illumines or know the real self when it is a matter.
Like glass transparent for the light, mind have to be transparent for the real self.
Yeah. So that when the mind is 100% transparent, when it can become a transparent, when it does not have any objective reality. When it does not have any objective reality means what? It lives in the objectless state. So what Patanjali explains about yoga, Chitta yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is emptying the mind of its content. So when there is no object is left, it means no this is left. So then what is left in the mind? Only that. So what is that? That is the real self. So what happens to the mind? The mind is not there. So what happens to the mind? It is just something like a balloon. You go on filling the air, and ultimately it bursts out. The mind does not remain there, only the real self is there. So what happens into that state? I see that the self-evident. What is self-evident? Like the sun illumines itself and everything. So we reach to a state where the self is not only illumining the self, but it is also illumining the mind. The moment say I am the real self, that is a thought expressed by the mind. The mind is there. But even if the mind is not there, even if the mind does not say I am the real self, the self is still there. So I have already realized the real self. I'm awakened. I'm awakened. Whether the mind, I started the journey, today's talk with the same thing, whether I know it or I do not know. Now you compare that. Whether I know I'm the real self, whether I don't know. Who knows and who does not know? Who claims that he who knows and who claims that he does not know? It is the mind. No, the mind is not there. Now only consciousness is there. So consciousness is self-evident. So why I don't realize it? Direct and indirect knowledge. So why there is so much of gap? Because of ignorance. So ignorance also means there the misunderstanding, error in perception, wrong notions that we keep in our mind. So it means can we remove the doubt? Yes, we can remove the doubt. We can resolve all the three, we can answer all the three questions, the master says. What is the next question could be? If I understand the very process of knowledge that takes place in the mind, I can find the answers of all the three doubts. If I, or if the seeker, for the sake of understanding, if the seeker resolves, and if the seeker understands what exactly is the process of knowledge. I normally say I know your name and the shape and the form and the color, and I say you are this. You are Michael, or you are David, or whatever it is. But what makes me understand that you are Michael and David? What makes me? What is that understanding? What exactly is what happens to the mind that says you are Michael, not David, you are David and not Michael? You are my honey, even if the girls are the same. Look at it the way the master goes. Master says, if I understand the very process of knowledge that is happening, where it is happening, it is happening in the mind. Behind that is a consciousness, the real self. So, if I understand the very process of knowledge that is taking place in the mind, I can find, I can discover. Huh? Are you getting the feel of it? The process of knowing what is happening in the mind, how this mind is coming out through the body and speaking in a coherent manner, how it remains focused on the particular topic, why my mind does not recognize the wall as a door and the door as a wall. It keeps on separating. What is that process of knowledge? If I say knowledge is consciousness, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahm. Another definition of the real self is the truth, absolute truth, and infinity and the knowledge. What is happening? So when I understand, understanding is knowledge, understanding is awareness, understanding is consciousness. Why and when my mind says I don't know you? Who is this? Third person introduces, you are Michael. Okay. So now just it happened in a split of a second. I did not know you. Now I know you. What happened to the mind? What is the process of knowledge? What is that process of know? What is happening here? I must know. So when I know the very process of knowledge that is taking place, yes, then there are two points. Process of knowledge that helps me to recognize the world outside. So what should happen in the mind to know my real self? So the first answer you get, oh, that is why you are saying the qualified mind can know the real self. Unqualified mind cannot know the real self. The mind cannot know the real self directly by the word or a thought, but mind can know the real self indirectly. How can you say? Whether the mind says I am or I am not, the I am still exists. Indirectly. Awareness is already there. It is because of the consciousness, mind uses that consciousness in itself and then it says that I exist. I don't say like a French philosopher who says I think therefore I am. No, I am therefore I am. I think. First is I am. Oh, we can solve that problem. Yes, we can resolve that problem also. Once I understand the process of knowledge. I'll leave you with a contemplation of the three factors are working in the process of knowledge. And that will complete our first topic. Three factors are working in the process of knowledge. The first factor is the reflected consciousness in the mind. In the mind. Where is reflected consciousness? The consciousness falls on the medium that is mind, like the mirror you have, the sun rays falls on the mirror and it shows the light there. So that is the reflected light. In physics, you are engineers, so you know it. So the first factor. Second is the medium, is the mind. So mind is different from the reflected consciousness. Haha. Mind is the different from the reflected consciousness. Third factor, the object that I know. Can I summarize? And then we will expand this clearly, 100%. When I say I know you, that is a thought. So when I say I know you, the thought removes the ignorance. But unless I become conscious, I cannot know you. So mind has its own consciousness, borrowed by the pure consciousness, one, and then there is a reflected consciousness. So that reflected consciousness is I thought, I-ness. That I says I know you, and you are an object. So there are three factors in the process of knowledge. Let me make it simple. Michael plus Michael thought plus reflected consciousness, mathematical equation, is equal to I know Michael.
What is reflected consciousness? I didn't get.
Mirror, sun rays falls on the mirror, you have a reflected light somewhere else. So mind is a medium where the consciousness falls, you have a reflected consciousness. So initially we started that reflected consciousness is the mind, but now we have gone a step deeper. That reflected consciousness is separate from the mind. Plus an object. So, object, what is an object? Mouse. Plus mouse thought. Plus reflected consciousness is equal to I know the mouse.
So reflected consciousness is equivalent of I.
Yes, but that I is conscious because of the pure consciousness, and which it does not recognize due to ignorance. Obviously.
And in regular life, our reflected consciousness is receiver of knowledge and act.
All the three.
Who is that?
All the three factors gives us that knowledge. Because if one factor of object is absent, what to know? If I don't express it as a thought, then how do I know? If I'm not conscious of that thought. So what people normally do in the mantra Shivoham, 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 Shivoham. Who is Shivoham? I'm just repeating it. How many times? 10 years I have repeated it. Do you understand it? No. There is no Shivoham.
Shivoham, it means that not me but Shiva. So consciousness, Shiva is consciousness in acting in me.
And the beauty is that I am not conscious of the Shiva and I am saying Shiva is consciousness. So that very awareness that depicts I-ness is reflected consciousness. I may continue to say that I am Shivoham, 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 but reflected consciousness is not aware of that. So you keep on saying it for 10 years and 20 years, nothing is happening to you. Nothing. You are repeating like any animal repeats their action. It is an impulsive driven, it is a habitual. You are saying, I am conscious Shiva. Are you conscious of it? Are you conscious of it? No, I'm not conscious of it. So when I'm
Shiva
not
is consciousness. Shiva is consciousness.